Welcome to Synced on Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and today I have Michael Ding with me from Bobyard. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, sure. Well, it's good to get a chance to chat to you because we briefly met at Sync Live 2025. Thank you for coming all the way from California over to Atlanta. And we never really got a chance to chat, but you were on stage for a while talking about what you've developed. This is just another opportunity to get out, some of your background story, why you developed Bob Yard, and how it can help landscape businesses out there. So, do you want to kick it off and just, launch into why Bob Yard?
Yeah. I think there's quite a story behind Bobyard. I think originally we were a slightly different idea where we wanted to. I think it was more general. But we had customers of every trade. We had like electrical subs, like landscaping included, and mechanical and everything.
Yeah.
And we called them design partners in the beginning, like help us design a product that would be good for you. And eventually, I think we just fell in love with landscaping, and we ended up ditching everybody else. Yeah, and it turns out to have been a very good decision on our end. I don't think we could have picked a better trade to start with. Like landscaping's been awesome. There's so many podcasts like yours, but I think the community in landscaping is quite special. I don't really think any other trade has this kind of tight knit community. For
Aw,
example, like we're in California, so this is CLCA and NALP as well, and there's so many local chapters and local events, and it's very casual. Like it's like a football game, and you can go to like a party with the CLCA. It's pretty neat. I think that's pretty special to landscaping. I think it's awesome. And then
that's good to hear.
yeah, in general, the events have all been really fun.
So, was it called Bob Yard to start with, or was it called a different name? Or,
It was
okay.
always called Bobyard, named after Bob the Builder. We pick landscaping, and there's a yard, and it just worked out really well. I think.
Yeah, not only like a yardstick to measure things, but like yard as in your backyard. Yeah. So, I mean, what does Bob Yard do? If you have to give us your elevator pitch, because I know that a lot of things with AI and it can seem a bit mystical. So, what's your short version of what it can do for businesses?
I think really the goal there for Bobyard was to streamline takeoffs and estimates. And so Bobyard is a modern takeoff and estimate suite that we've embedded AI models to throughout to help you go much, much faster. And so really we never wanted to be like a trade-off, like, oh, can I do a takeoff with my traditional tool with the software features I would like versus the AI features of Bobyard? It should always be like you can have both. And so we never compromise on software and quality. We always build the actually we treat ourselves as a software company. We first build software and then on top of it, we build AI models. So it's never a trade off. And, because AI models are never, 100% accurate. And so whenever it does fail or, you need to correct something, we always have the foundational software tools you can rely on and fall back on.
And so, let's say somebody wants to try it. What do they expect to see? Is it they bring in like the PDF of the plans and bring it
Yeah,
into your software package, or talk us through that?
it's modern software. So it's just the website you go to and you upload drawings, and there's a full takeoff software suite that you can do measurements on. You can do annotations, but you can also click, a few buttons and skip a bunch of steps, which are our AI models. Really, a customer see quite a bit of time savings. We recently had a stat; it was pretty cool. 70 to 80% of all the measurements ever made on Bobyard are made with AI, and so I think once it's like ChatGPT, once you start using it, you can't you sort of get addicted and you can't not use it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's been the case for a lot of our estimators on Bobyard. Like once you start using you can't go back. It's like because one of the most tedious things in I think all of estimating and takeoff is just like the pure time spent on quantification. Everybody needs to go and count all the plants and measure all the length, and it's a huge headache and a huge pain. And it's always been kind of frustrating from us to see from like a different perspective because like estimators have a very complicated job, a very sophisticated job where there's like spreadsheets, like these enormous spreadsheets. It's like 10, 20 pages all connected together. It's not easy. It's very, very high skilled actually. Like not even I understand all the intricacies of all the different spreadsheets I've seen. But a huge chunk of their time is just spent on counting plants essentially and making measurement allocations on a takeoff page. So we want to help you basically spend time on the things that, actually matter to your business, slash actually you can impact. And it's just very low leverage to spend all this time counting plans essentially.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, getting rid of the tedious jobs so that you can look at it maybe from a bigger picture point of view. Like, do I need to do something different? Do I need to suggest something to the client to change? Yeah. And so how long has Bobyard been around?
About 2 years old. We were 2 years old.
Okay.
And we started, uh, I guess, first doing like making our first sales and early customers started like sometime last year, halfway through the year, and it's just been amazing. I think like when we came out of early design partners, we had early customers. Sort of, we wouldn't want to launch anything that's not ready, and I think there's a lot of interesting case studies where you launch a product that's too early, there's too much hype, and it doesn't live up to the expectation, and it's a the more publicity you had originally, the worse it becomes because the bigger the flop. And
The disappointment. Yeah, no, you don't want
so
any disappointments.
we're very careful about it, and we really we know that it's mission critical to a landscaper to produce the bids, to win the bids, and to actually make them on time and make them accurately. Because if you make a mistake on the bid, like you're going to eat that cost. And so we know it's mission critical. We take it very seriously, and so we wouldn't launch anything until it's ready.
And what feedback have you gotten from, you know, I guess you said last year. So this is very, very new. It's great that, you're full steam ahead now. What do clients say about it?
I think the general feedback we get is pretty amazing. Like we have stories where the estimators really wanted to get this project out, and with Bobber they can, and not only can they get it out early, but they go on vacation after. Honestly, they go on vacation, and then like with Bobber, it turns out to be a very small project, and they just go on vacation early. Like it's awesome. Like we have our customers use it so much, it's kind of insane. But it makes sense. Like the more you use it, the more value you get out of it, because it truly is just like the more every hour you spend in Bobber is like there's a ratio, like whatever 70% time saving, and so it saved you quite a bit of time on the back end there. So it's pretty interesting, yeah. Like we we have a lot of customers do like referrals and stuff, and it's been pretty wild. Like we've doubled revenue every month for the past few months. It's been ridiculous.
Some people would think that in our industry, we are a tight-knit industry, but also a bit old-fashioned. But it sounds like you're making headway in, introducing AI to companies. The companies that you're working with, have they used AI before? Are they using these kind of tools already before you reach out to them? Or can you speak to that a little bit?
That's such a good point. Multiple things. So I think not actually. I think that might be a false like sort of assumption. The landscaping is old school and no one really wants to
Okay,
adopt.
good.
I think it's been maybe it's just confirmation bias because the people that like to talk to us are, you know, for more forward thinking slash want to adopt new technology, and so they reach out to us. But everybody we talk to has been really accepting of like new technology, and they're very curious. Like, and there's always, some people that say like, "Am I going to lose my job because of this?" And I think we just very firmly say no. It's not even close. Like, there's so much more to your job than counting plants all day, and I think that they get it. And in fact, I think every estimator has always wished for something that does what we do, and it's just no one's ever been able to build it. And for your point, it's actually really interesting. I think Bobbert might be the only slash the first AI product that any company buys when they buy Bobbert. We have to actually do a little bit of like education pieces on it too. It's like, what does AI actually do? What are the different types of models that we employ in our product? And what's the actual scope of it? What can it do? What can't it do? It's interesting to see like our customers get better and better at using the product. There's a slight learning curve. Uh, they build an intuition for how the models work and what use cases the models are good at. Because it's not the case that does 100% of the takeoff for you. It does, well, 80% of the measurements. There's 20% that you still have to do, and it's very like much more complicated things that you might have to do measurements on. And there's an intuition built around like what the models are capable of, and what things models are good at, what things models are not good at. Um, yeah, and so far so good. Like everybody actually finds it to be pretty intuitive to use, and I think that just speaks to our amazing product team that's built the product. But part of the foundation there, and part of the reason why it's so easy is because when we do onboarding, we actually don't even introduce the AI models first. We just say, here's the software. It's just like any other takeoff tool, just a bit more sleek, a bit more modern. And they go off and play around with it, and they actually really like it. And then later, after
Ah,
they're more familiar, then we introduce the AI models. Like, okay, you used to do these things, now you can skip. those steps by clicking on these buttons and use this tool instead. And it's always been
Ah.
like magic moment after magic moment when we introduce new tools.
Oh, that's an interesting way. It's like a stepwise approach, you know, to introduce them to the tool.
Yeah, if we tried doing it all at once in the beginning, it was way too much.
Well, I think any new tool, it's too much to learn it all at the beginning. Yeah, you're focused on step 1 through 5, and you can't pay attention to step 6 through 10. So, yeah. Well, that is good. And how many businesses do you have that are using Bobyard right now then? I guess it's a subscription model, is that right?
Yeah, we sign normally we sign annual contracts with our customers. We don't disclose exactly how many customers we have, but it's quite a few now. I mean, it doesn't take many doubling to reach quite a big number. And also the month of March has been like it just ended like yesterday. Like it's been way better than double. I think it's been like triple or quadruple this month. It's been
Fantastic.
it's been very exponential growth. Like we're like doubling team size also right now. It's pretty spectacular. I don't think I've ever expected this kind of reception, but we're glad that we took the time we did on building the product. I think we could have launched the product a lot earlier than we did. We could have pushed PR and like advertisements or something a lot earlier than we did, but we really took our time and made sure the product was good. And we asked our current design partners like, is the product good enough or not? And we always checked in with them. And only when it was like magical for them that we decided to start selling. A good product is very important to us, and that's really what we focus on.
Well, and so you mentioned that there's 20%, now please check me, that 20% maybe that doesn't get measured. Like, what are those things? And is that in the future to be built out? Or is it just that some measurements are just complicated and you're just leaving room for some manual
So
calculations?
it's not that the model misses them. Like if you run the model for counting, for example, it'll be like 98%, 99% accurate. Ultimately, there's a few just depending on, I guess, the style of the architect. And for the 20% that it doesn't do is just like that's not within the scope of our functionality. There's some very subtle things. There's a lot of okay for an estimator's job. I think a lot of it comes down to basically just understanding the project and understanding the scopes and the risk inside the project. There are definitely things that you have to measure and sort of like take a look at that we won't be able to consider the full depth of. Uh, that's why we have the software tools. And as for what 20% that is, examples of it, very subtle notation about different areas and what you need them for. Oftentimes, it's not just an area; it's like a bunch of implied meaning. Like you use this area for a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different implied things that go into this, whatever things you need to measure. We
Okay.
can might be able to pick up the primitive understanding that there is a shape and there's an area associated with it, but we don't know all the things that need to go into it automatically. You can definitely do the calculations and whatnot in the backend with Bobyard, but it won't pick up all the specs all at once automatically. It won't read all the details and understand all the details and relay it back. That's not where we're at yet, but we definitely tend to do more and more of this and help you understand more and more of sort of the menial stuff, the foundational stuff in the drawings.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thanks for explaining that because I think, yeah, it's trying to understand, yeah, how much it can do, how much work it can eliminate or speed. You've already talked about some success stories. What about any misconceptions about what Bobyard can do? Are there any, or has it been so smooth?
Yeah, it's okay. So this is one of the funniest things that we run across. We get on one side like, oh, is this going to replace my job? And then on the other side, but this doesn't do like 100% of my takeoff for me.
Yeah, the extremes, like,
Yeah. But I can see that we've like heard it from the same company before too. Where it's like, gosh, why doesn't it do all of it for me? Like I want all the measurements to be done all at once for me. It's really funny, and I think it's an interesting balance. Like, I don't think anytime soon we'll be replacing anybody's job. Like this many years away.
we're
Uh,
too short on people, and we have
yeah,
and the seasonality means that we always have these crazy times, and then we get crazy if we're not busy, and then we get crazy when we are busy. Yeah, so I think it's an industry that needs help, like Bob Yard.
yeah.
So go ahead.
It's like it's an interesting balance we strike. Like definitely there are people that come into it, it's like, oh, after demos, like this is really cool. I just most of it for me, but it doesn't do all of it for me. I think you've definitely said that before the demo. And AI, so that's the misconception there. There's two. One is, and they're opposites, but we see both all the time. One is that it's going to do everything and it's going to take your jobs, and the other is that it's supposed to do everything and you're supposed to sit back and just relax. It's neither. It does a lot of the menial stuff for you, but you still have to do the hard parts of your job because there's a reason why you have your job, and there's a reason why like
Your
you know,
experience.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned risks earlier, and I think that, we maybe don't talk in our industry, maybe in some companies they do, but about risks and, okay, yes, this is what it measures out to be on the plan, but it's on a slope. How well is the slope measured? You know, there are things that you have to use your experience for,
Totally.
and AI will never think for you. Well, maybe it's at some point, I don't know.
So, I mean, very common, like, that there is a mistake in the drawings, either because of miscommunication or there's ambiguity. Like, if the drawings don't explicitly tell you exactly what it is that the project needs to be, the model won't be able to tell you. It has to be naive about taking the drawings for granted, and so that's a big deal. Like, if you end up taking everything for granted, like you won't be able to double check things, and you won't be able to see what's actually wrong.
I like that you use that word naive. It's kind of like, yeah, the model will never be able to think for you. And it's like, can you say it's like talking to a 7-year-old or something? Like, can you, yeah, and it'll only do what you ask it to do. And I think it's also interesting that you brought up ChatGPT because, yeah, everybody at first was scared of it or like, oh, what is this? Oh my goodness. And then now I know people that use it to organize their grocery lists and, do the things like in their everyday life that I'm like, oh, I never thought of doing that, So
And now people complain that ChatGPT doesn't do enough for you. It's just no, totally, totally. And I think like people heading quite a lot on these tools. I think it's the same with Bobyard. Like it's difficult to imagine doing it without it. Uh, yeah, yeah. I think it's a very interesting thing. Like we watch our customers use it, and some of them use it for like 30, 40 hours a week, and they actually come up with really interesting ways to use the models. Like we're very flexible, and we let you control it, and that's one of the big points. Like we don't want to for example, counting things in their scope of work and there's match lines. There might be things outside the match lines that exist in the drawing, and technically you could measure them, but you don't because they're represented on a different page and stuff like that. It's a very subtle match line here. You're not supposed to measure beyond it. Because the match line just looks like a line, and we actually need to control the model to say just look inside the match lines or just inside the scope of work here.
Yeah.
Control is super important, and knowing exactly the full like possible output of the model, so like the totality of what you need to check. Because if you don't know what the model could do, then you have to check everything to see what might be wrong.
The more comfortable you get with what the model can do, the more relaxed you can be. And I guess that's
Yeah,
where you go from one extreme to the other. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I don't want it to take my job. Oh, wait a minute. I want it to do 99%.
yeah. Yeah. We should try to measure like amount of time a customer spends double checking the models over
Yeah.
time. And they're
Yeah.
probably like 100% and then goes straight to zero like right after.
Well, that would be interesting. Yeah. I mean, or even anecdotally, how much time do you use checking it and how much did you trust it to start with? How much did you trust it?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, do you see Bobyard growing into either other aspects, you're in takeoff and estimating, or do you see it eventually going to, I know you started with lots of industries and came to landscaping, but do you see it going the other way, once, I guess what's your future vision for Bobyard
I think
is,
our philosophy is mainly around the drawings. Like, our team is a bunch of like PhDs and research engineers, and we do very fundamental research on AI models and how they work. And I think that's our strengths. Like, we're very, very good at this. We don't come like from a financial background. I don't think we'll be doing like the back end invoicing office or the financials
yeah.
of business. We actually have a lot of customers that use like, one of their ERP systems plus Bob Brand. It works very well. And I don't think that's really where our competitive advantage is at, and that's not really what we want to do either. And so I think our thesis is just around drawings and making them smarter and smarter, deeper understanding of them. We started in landscaping, and I think landscaping is, if we can understand landscaping, we're going to understand everything. Like landscaping is the hardest for sure. I think landscaping has the most interpretation, the largest scale, and just the highest volume for takeoffs and whatnot. We're pretty confident that we can do landscaping very well, which we've been able to do. We can do plenty of the other trades just fine. And I do think that's our future of Bob. Like we're going to be maybe the takeoff tool of choice for all of construction. And that's really what I think what we're going for. And I think we have an amazing foundation here. And I think we'll be in landscaping for quite some time first. We have to really nail this and make sure it's proper.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Like, gosh, I think we've addressed a lot of the issues that are the questions that I had. Well, one thing that I have here is about integrating with other tools. You just mentioned that you do integrate with some other tools
Yeah.
already.
So, I mean, you can imagine like we go to all the conferences, we're at SYNKD, a lot of other suppliers and vendors and software in all the other conferences. I think the most common thing Bobyard sees is like, either they use Bobyard plus like Almen or like Boss, or sometimes they see Aspire as well. And it depends on exactly the use case. It depends on what portion of their estimating they do where. Sometimes they have estimating in Excel, sometimes they do it in Aspire or their ERP system, and it really depends. And I think one of the beauties of Bobyard is that it's really flexible. You can have this is one of the things I think that's unique to Bobyard in terms of takeoff. Like you can organize your bid in whatever way you dream of. It's completely arbitrary how you organize your bids. And in the same way, it's very arbitrary how you do exports and how you dump the data out of Bobyard. And so people have been able to come up with really creative ways. And I think most of our customers end up switching their workflow a little. So they currently have their workflow, this is how they,
Okay.
and then when they get Bobbers, I can actually do all these cool things I've always wanted to do, but our previous system did not allow me to because it was too restrictive. And they end up changing their workflow because they've always wanted to, they just haven't had the ability to. And things run smoother actually just because it's more flexible software.
Wow, that's pretty powerful if you're able to not only save them time and take off and estimating, but actually change their workflow to be a better workflow.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's like, I guess how I'd see it is like, there's no reason for it to be so fragmented.
yeah.
Like, I think a lot of customers before they use Bobyard, they have so many different tools. They have multiple different types of Excels for different things. Like they have databases and different calculations, a bunch of different calculations. And they have Dropbox or something, or Google Drive. Plus, they have a takeoff tool. They may have two takeoff tools. I've seen that too. Like, oh, I like this one takeoff tool because they have this feature set, and another one because they have the other features. It's like, to have Bobyard who has like all the features. Like, it's very interesting. Like, we see very bizarre workflows. And I think it becomes it's because it's so fragmented in terms of software. Like it's such a fragment. And when Bobbert comes in, it's like we want it to be sort of your only place you need to do the takeoff for and your estimates for. So it's much more streamlined afterwards. And you're right. Like when we design our software, every contractor has slightly different workflows. So we can't just like if we build one to one for each of our customers, we end up with 10 different products that sort of are slight variants of each other. And our philosophy has always been to take all the input first and then abstract it one level away and then build a thing that like everybody would be able to use in one place. And that's always been one of the hardest points, but one of the defining sort of philosophies for our product. That's why it's so flexible. Like when someone asks for a different way to calculate, like I know backfill versus something like that for a tree, and a different contractor asks for a different way to do the backfill calculation, and they conflict, and we can't have both. We try to build something that's one level of abstraction away, so that both contractors can
Yeah.
use the same.
Well, yeah, that's great. We need more of that kind of thinking, more usable to more people. And it sounds like also you've made it so that the project owner or estimator can spit it out in different ways. So then it can be carried forward however they need. Yeah. Well, thank you for fast tracking our industry and moving us into the AI driven ways of working.
It's inspiring. I think like our customers definitely are our source of inspiration. They like know how to use it better than we do because they definitely use it more than we do. Uh, it's our customers that we depend on for knowing what to build next. We ask our customers all the time, like, hey, what do you think about this feature? Should we change it? Should we add new ones? And they always give us really, really cool ideas. And it's what drives the product forward. And I think it's like, I think all these ideas already have existed in the industry. And it's just been amazing to work with everybody because they have like endless ideas. Actually, we talked to them. It's like they have some people have prior ideas already in a notebook, and they pull up. It's like, okay, perfect, like Michael, like listen, I have this
I
idea
want
of
this,
landscape,
I want that.
and it's so ready for it, which is awesome to see. And I think there's so much creativity here in landscaping. There's so many cool ideas that we can't wait to keep building for you guys.
Love it. Well, thanks for listening. I mean, because I think that that is, a nicer way to develop a product. You're putting it out there and you're asking for advice and you're asking for how to do things better. So, yeah, sounds like Bobyard will be in everybody's toolbox, just like Bob the Builder.
Okay, I hope so. Yeah,
Well, why don't you tell our audience how they can get in touch with you and learn more about Bobyard?
sure. Just go to bobyard.com. It's spelled Bobyard, like Bob and Yard. We just relaunched. We actually we did the website. Actually, it's really slick now. I think it looks awesome. And you can grab a time there. You can actually send in drawings for a sample run, and one of our team members will probably give you like a sample output of what the models will look like. And you're definitely like you're like, damn, we just did that project. It took us like 12 days, and we could have done it today. Yeah, we try not.
Just saying, everybody, give it a try, huh? Send in a sample.
We try never to sell the product. We always just say like, hey, just look at the product. Our sales meetings are just product demos, and we just show you the product. And we're happy to show you as many features as you want until you're satisfied. But we just if it's a good product, the product should sell itself. And we never need to tell you like, hey, the product is good. Just like see for yourself if the product is good or not.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it sounds like it's worth a shot. And if you're listening to this, go on to bobyard.com and submit your first project and let Michael and the team show you what it's all about.
Yeah, we would love to help you guys grow your businesses. That's like I think the biggest joy that we see. Like when our customers say like, hey, we've grown quite a bit, we've hit our goals. It's awesome to see.
And that is a bottleneck that we need to eliminate. So yeah, that's where these tools are invaluable. Great. Well, Michael, so good to have you on the podcast, and we look forward to maybe we can even do a product demo sometime or show people in a webinar what
I'd
it's
love to.
like to walk it through and get an example. So let's do that next time.
Sure, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Great to have you and talk to you again soon. Thanks, Michael.